Welcome back to GrazeLand. Today we are rehabbing this crawl space and we're starting off by installing lighting. Let's go. Here's a little before shot. There was two lights just like that one in the entire place. You see some ultra white, that's my shop lights, trying to give us a little bit more to see here, but it's even darker without the shop lights. And look at the air quality. You can see tons of dust and pollen, and it really smelled bad in here. And the previous owners, I think in the wintertime, they let their cats use this as their own personal kitty litter box. It definitely reeked of ammonia and cat poop. And so we have our work cut out for us in this crawl space. But today, the first thing we're going to do is get good lighting in here so that way you can see the progress a lot better on camera. So I'm doing this one for you. You're welcome. There's two hot water tanks. The little one on the right is no longer working. It's just used as a water storage tank. The one on the left is the actual hot water tank. And you can see electrical is chaos here. There's no organization. Plumbing is chaos. When they soldered the copper pipes, they melted the septic pipes. You can also see a lot of light leaking in from outside. There's tons of vents and partial vents and just old holes where there used to be pipes allowing air to come in here, so it's unconditioned. So we're actually going to also seal all those vents and make it a conditioned crawl space. So once it's all done, the air in the crawl space will be just as clean as the air inside the house. I drew up a rough diagram of how I'm going to run the wiring and how many can lights I'm going to need. There is a dozen can lights that will go in there. I know that's super overkill, but that's how we're doing this house rehab. I'm making this house look epic as if it's my forever home, even though it's not the forever home. So rough idea of you got your water tanks, pressure tanks, the in-house vacuum, and obviously the can lights and how they're going to be wired. And I'm keeping them roughly 6 feet from one wall, 4 feet from the other, and that's just so that way they're consistently spaced out apart. So the type of LED can lights I need, unlike drywall, these actually need a housing unit. So I got these housing units. They're pretty simple. They already have everything you need. Just need a hammer to pound them in, and they're pretty user friendly. So go ahead and measure here. So future me is much wiser than past me. I thought this vent thing was so cool. I've seen people use it before. Obviously, I didn't pay too close attention to it because I put the fan inside the crawl space and it blows the air outside. Now this works. The only problem with this is you go deaf after a while. So you actually want the fan on the outside, and all you have to do is your ductwork. Just put it on the opposite end of the fan, and it's still going to suck the air out just like it would have blown the air out. So great device, really helped with the air quality. Unfortunately, it took forever for me to realize that I should have put it the other way around. The light switch that was originally in here, it's kind of old and dated and it's cracked in the back. And I wanted the whole project to be nice, clean, and efficient with no issues. So I ripped the old box out, and you can see it was barely held in there. And I'm going to put a nice new box in and run wiring as neatly as possible. I went ahead and I got the mask because I'm starting to cough constantly. And it's still nasty down here. This is a perfect example of why you want a conditioned airspace though. Because your ductwork, if you have a crawl space like this, you're probably sending your ductwork through it. And that's where your heating and air conditioning is going through. And there's going to be little cracks in there. It's not going to be an airtight seal. So it's sucking in this air, and this is the air you're breathing up in your house. So it's really a good idea to condition it. Not to mention all that air up above the house. You're spending all this money to condition the air, make it warm or cold. And then you got new air coming up from underground that you now have to treat that air as it goes up. So if this is a conditioned space, it's going to be more controlled and you're not going to have more air that you're going to have to constantly be re-changing the temperature of it. So essentially this room will have the same temperature as the house. So this next step, I'm just going to put these in. Typically you'd put these in after you drywall your ceiling. Obviously we're not going to be drywalling down here. So it's okay to put these in first, even though it's not wired up yet, because the box we need to access is right here. And we can access that without having to do this. So you got a little orange connector like this. You'll find the other orange connector just like that inside, and you plug the two in. You hear a little click, and that sucker is locked in now. Then you're going to have two little latches on either side, and these little springs, you just squeeze them close together, and then you just slide them in till that little bump right there rests inside the slot. And now it's hanging from that slot. And then make sure your cable doesn't get pinched. All you gotta do is push straight up. Done. That simple. Pretty cool, huh? And then we'll tear that apart, and you'll see typically you should find all your connectors and everything, which is what we find. It's real nice. It's a snap-on situation. You don't have to worry about screws and stuff. It's got your quick connects right there for all your wires. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver to pop out whichever hole you want to pop out. We're going to take out one of the top holes to feed in the hoses. Not hoses, the wires. And then once we're done, you got a little lip right here. You slide that in first. And then you push it down, snaps into place. These things are awesome, especially when you're not hiding behind drywall and you can just get in there and do it. Get her done. A public service announcement here. All right, so that's studio lighting, that's not the crawl space lighting. But I just want to take a second and show you. So you'll see these support beams. It's not actually one solid beam, it's actually two beams stuck together, and they're on this main support beam right here. These are designed to fit snugly in between these. This is just too tight, so even if this is shrunk down, that's as short as it goes. If you push it any further, what you'll see is the other end come out. These are two separate pieces that slide together. And what you'll find is on the inside, there's these little holes throughout the thing, and that's breaker points. So you can actually break this down to a smaller portion. So what I have to do for this row, because of the overlap in boards, is I have to break that. Hopefully it's in shot right here. And you see it breaks right where that hole was at. It's a breaking point. And that makes it a little bit easier, so you can break them down to size. And then you just do that on both sides here. Just take that first one right there, and it breaks almost perfectly. Now, originally, there's a bend at the end, so it keeps it from sliding out and falling. So you do want to be careful to not yank on them, because then it'll just come all the way out now that it doesn't have that stopper. I think that's essentially just so it doesn't fall apart inside the stores, so you actually get all the pieces. But that's what those are there for, so you can have a smaller gap. So if your trusses or support beams are real close together and you need that extra space, well, that's how you do it. But there's a little crease, there's a hole right there, there's a hole right there, and then there's a crease right next to it. And that's just its breaking point. It just bends perfectly. And then you have more scrap to pick up later. But just want to throw that out there. Now we'll get back to work putting this one up.
And the best part of all, we have the before and after. This is what we started with, and this is what it finishes with. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the beginning of an amazing crawl space. If you want to follow the journey, smash that subscribe button and you can see all of my mistakes and the finished results when the project is finally complete. When this thing's done, you're going to be able to sleep in here. This can be like a second guest room for the mother-in-law or something like that. This is going to be amazing. Follow along and share it with a friend. If you have any tips on what I could have done better to make this better, let me know. I know it's early in the journey though, so it's possible I may do what you've suggested. Thanks for watching.